So Ben, do you think your training as an industrial designer has given you different skill sets than a graphic designer that designs interface?
I'd like to think so. It feels like designing graphic interfaces and user experiences came pretty naturally. It felt familiar to past industrial design projects that I'd worked on, just in terms of getting into the user's mindset and finding problems and focusing on the user's experience with the product and not the product itself. The best interfaces disappear completely, and so you don't notice them. And if you don't notice them, you don't think about all the time and effort and work that went into making it that transparent.
What type of advice do you give clients in developing?
You have to be able to see the model before you commit to code and production and get too far along. You can find mistakes or learn that assumptions you made in the workflow or the wireframes were what was correct or incorrect really quickly by testing repeatedly. And so it's good to get that stuff in front of the client right away and not polish it too much. So Cybex was redesigning their user interface for some of their fitness equipment, which instead of having an LCD screen that's running software, it's a hardware-based interface where the display is LEDs on a board, and the LEDs are turned on and off. This is something that, unlike a software-based LCD screen like a website or an iPad, where you could prototype it and mock it up on a computer, it's hard to do that with LEDs because it's hardware and it's expensive to create prototypes. So something I did early on is we started out with 2D static graphics of what this new interface could be, but then used a software tool. In this case, it was Adobe Flash, which I used to create a virtual fitness equipment console with LED segments that could be turned on and off and manipulated. The client could run it on his computer, could run it in presentations, and I could quickly change the programming and manipulate the virtual hardware without having to actually create any electronics. And this allowed them to see what it would look like before it even existed. It was very helpful.